That is crazy. It's crazy.
Can you go sit down? Take your phone
I
with
will.
you.
I'm heading down there now since the gavel was gavelled.
Trying to get the other commissioner down there.
Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you take a second and turn off the electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker,
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg,
I am here.
We have two items for discussion. First is professional benefits consultant, Terry. Lisa? Let's go.
This is Terry's show.
Is this a good spot?
Perfect.
Yeah, right in front of the
Your
mic.
name and address. And
Oh, you guys, most of you guys know that. Just wanted to stop in, talking to Maury and Lisa, and they were saying, hey, come on in and let's talk about what you're doing. It's renewal time, and so we're out there shopping the plan a little bit. So I just wanted to kind of come in and talk about what we do day to day and some of the services we do. And I handed out folders. They had the proposal that I had emailed out to you guys, but also in those folders were some of the things we do. What we do basically day to day with the employees and that sort of thing is when they have an issue, they give us a call and we get those issues straightened out. And you know, basically, like an interesting one this year was we had somebody who had a prosthetic and it's a custom-made piece, and they didn't want to pay for it. And so the employee ended up out of pocket on that. Took us about 3-4 months, but we got all that money back for the employee, and that's something that he wouldn't have been able to get done by himself. It's just too hard to deal with these insurance companies. You have to speak their language and that sort of thing. So that's like what we're doing day to day with the employees and that sort of thing. When they have an issue, they call us, we get it straight. You know, and I always say we bat 1,000. If it's wrong, we'll make it right. We're not going to let it be wrong. We'll go to the Department of Insurance, and we have several times, and change the way these guys have done business. So when somebody's out there fighting against the insurance company, they're not alone. They call us, we get them through it, we get them paid. And we bat 1,000. We won't stop until we get it done. Beyond that, we bring services to the city, and all the employees have something called Health Advocate. Health Advocate's something that I'm a big believer in. I've been using it for about 10 years. And what it is, it's a service that doesn't cost the employees anything. We pay for it, a professional benefit consultant, for the employees to have it. And what it is if they have an issue, they can call Health Advocate, and Health Advocate will help them with it. And they do things we can't do. And I'll give you for instance. If somebody has cancer, say, if they call Health Advocate and on the screen comes up their insurance and who they are and where they're at. The and this is a true story. I'm going to run through a cancer situation, really. Health Advocate will then say, hold, I'm going to put you on with a nurse advocate who understands your cancer. So you get a nurse advocate, and if it's Betty throughout your whole thing. You don't get bounced around. Betty then discuss your cancer with you and will say, look, you deserve a second opinion. They're looking at your insurance, and they understand your insurance. You get a second opinion. The best doctor in their network is Fred Jones at Jefferson. Would you like to see them? Well, of course you would. They'll make you an appointment within usually a week with the best guy out there. Then they give you, like, and this I'm just going through an actual scenario. They give you 10 questions to go ask that doctor. So now they tell you about what your prognosis is going to be, what's going to happen, that sort of thing. They set you up with the proper course of action, and they give you all the questions to ask. And then that night, when you come home, they called this lady up and said, all right, let's get your answers, and let's plan your next course of action. The people who've had situations like that have come back to us and really, kind of hugged us and said, hey, I don't know what I would do without that sort of thing. Because I don't know what I would do either if I had cancer. You need a hand to hold on to. That's the big things they do. Health Advocate does little things like my wife at one point had a stomach problem, right? So she's down at the bagel store and sees Lou Friedman. Lou Friedman says, Lou Friedman knows everything, by the way, just go ask him. Lou Friedman said, go over to Linwood, that's the best stomach doctor around, Cashville. So Charlotte calls there. So they say, we'll see you in a month. So Charlotte calls me and says, hey, what do I do? They'll see me in a month, and my stomach hurts. So I said, call Health Advocate, like everybody else. She calls Health Advocate. They said to her, that's the best doctor in your area. Would you like to see that? Yeah, I would, but now she's laughing, like, yeah, I can't get in. They get back on the phone, hold please, they get back on the phone. 2-3 minutes later, you have an appointment for Tuesday. So they do little things like that too. And what they do is they kind of bully these doctors into seeing you because they say, we represent 10 million insured in the Delaware Valley. You're number one. Dr. Smith in Northfield's number 2, but he's rated just as high as you are. If you don't see our patient, he's going to step past you. And they get you in. I think that's what they do. They won't tell me. So that's, the Health Advocate's a neat thing. It's a free service. It helped us big time in this city. This person's retired now, but I'm just explaining they do things I can't do. In other words, we had a guy who had a jaw problem. He was a police officer. Blue Cross wouldn't do a surgery. His doctor quit on him. His doctor was a doctor at University of Penn and finally said to him, listen, after a few months, I don't make money fighting with Blue Cross. I make money doing surgery. So either get the surgery or don't. Came to us. I can't win that fight because they only do what's medically necessary according to doctors and their own books, Millman and Roberts books, right? So comes to me, I get Health Advocate involved. Health Advocate was able to get a doctor on the phone, their own doctor on the phone with Blue Cross and convince them he needed the surgery, that it wasn't TMJ. And we got it done within a month or two. On the other side, I went to the state plan and said, look, what you're sending them through costs this much. You're going to get sued because the doctor said the guy can't sleep at night. It's a $10,000 surgery, just give it to him. But I can't do the doctor side. So they do that sort of thing. They do other things I can't do. God forbid your mother-in-law fell down the steps or something like that, and she needed a overnight rehab and she's on Medicare. You can call Health Advocate and have them help you with that, even though she's not a City of Margate employee. So that's to give you a little idea of what they do. That's in place as kind of something, oversee what I can't do. Another service we bring into place is HR Support Center. And what HR Support Center does, I mean, I had Lisa a year and a half ago to look at this. And this is another free service, and we have HR on demand with that too. What HR Support Center does, it gives the city administrators a full library of laws and all that sort of thing. It gives them a full library of papers, forms and that sort of thing, and they're Word docs. So if you were looking to hire somebody, you can go on there and rewrite the Word doc and use that and that sort of thing. Every kind of new law, like with the gender neutral type bathrooms and all that stuff, it'll give you guidelines on how to work with that sort of thing. Anything that comes up, they'll help you with. And that's a free service we have in place here. And there's a lot more to it, but I only got a couple minutes up here, so that's the general of it. The coolest part of that, I think, is the HR on demand. And we pay a little extra to have that in place for Margate. And what that means is, God forbid, Fred punches Larry. How do we handle this? Right? How do we handle our employees? You can call or email them and say, I got a problem. Fred punched Larry, what do I do? They'll give you step-by-step instruction. Now you don't have to call the lawyer. And now, if you follow exactly what they say, their E&O will actually back us up in court. You know what I mean? If we end up in front, they'll back us up. So I really love the HR on demand for my municipalities and my bigger groups because you're not calling the lawyer for a $300 an hour if you can get them on the phone. You know what I mean? You're getting professional HR advice and you're getting it on demand. So there's a lot more to that also, but I handed out some folders. There's more information and that sort of thing. The other thing that I only have a few minutes. The other thing I wanted to talk about was we went out for bid this year because we had a little under 80% utilization. That means we use services that cost 80%, 77 point something, of what we paid the state plan on health side. So I said, let's go out and take a look. There's some neat self-funded programs out there right now that I'm still looking at. They didn't quite match our benefits. Coming in with something like that and not matching the benefits would be a nightmare for everybody at this table. So I'm working on that still. And I was talking to Lisa a little bit earlier about this. One of the hangups we have is our pharmaceutical went crazy a few years back. We're all aware of that. Came back down to below normal. And now, as of January last year, our brand name pharmaceutical has shot up pretty good. And what we're talking to Lisa about is we're going to call Optum and see if we can get some background on that to make sure we're not heading in any odd direction again. But that's what's holding us up as far as being able to go out there and get a neat quote to maybe, save $250,000 on this thing this year, is our pharmaceuticals up over what we pay for it. We pay about $43,000 a month. On average, we're higher than that in usage in the last 12 months. Last year, right after we had our issue, we were down in the 20s. And as Lisa said, in the past, we were in the 30s anyway. But now we're up a little bit. And part of that problem is, and I just want to make sure this is the problem. Part of that problem is, you watch television, you see a commercial for Humira. They're flying a kite, they're riding a horse on the beach, it looks great. Humira costs $50,000 a year. So everybody that buys into that commercial is costing the state benefits $50,000 a year and really messing our experience up. Humira does arthritis, skin problems, weight loss, it does a ton, it's a miracle drug. But they're charging it for you like it's a miracle drug. You were saying, what was the other one that we were talking about? Cymbalta. You see these commercials. We know the name of this stuff. We're not doctors. We shouldn't know the name of this stuff. They're selling it on TV. We can't buy it. It's another one. So I just want to make sure that's the problem. You know what I mean? That we're not, I doubt anybody would get back into this crazy stuff again, but that's what's going on, and that's why we're not being inundated with proposals on how to save us money this year, is really the pharmaceuticals getting us a little bit. And they look at our old pharmaceutical, and as much as you try to explain the situation to them, insurance people are insurance people, and they just say, okay, well, these were your numbers over the last 3 years. Does that make sense? Any questions for me at all?
Anyway,
All right, just wanted to come in and say hi and kind of give you an idea of what we're doing. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Be safe.
Yeah, I want to find out more about that insurance thing, so.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, what we can do is we can do a presentation. Yeah, and what we can do is we can come over and go right on the computer and do it together. I'll bring out the other people who want to get involved in addition to these. Yeah, there's good services on there. They say they're like, see that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, do you want to take care of the best practice worksheet?
Yes. I had
Please.
emailed you the results of our questionnaire for the best practices. It was required to be submitted to the state this week, and it has been submitted, but now we're required to discuss it at a public meeting as an agenda item. There were a total of 61 questions this year, and we needed to score a minimum of 46 in order to receive 100% of our state funding. Our score was 56, so none of our funding will be withheld this year. To recap the results of all our questions, out of the 61, there were 44 responses in the affirmative, 5 were answered no, 9 were not applicable, and 3 were prospective, which means that it's something that we will consider and see if it's something feasible that we can do. This point, they're basically a plethora of questions that, there's recommendations in regards to policy, fiscal responsibility. There was a few questions about, by way of like sustainable, which is a big topic now, like do we purchase electric vehicles? They want to know if we're going green and things like that. But overall, I think that we answered pretty well, as we have done in the past. Does anyone have any questions about the question?
It's
No?
amazing how this has grown from the state standpoint, and some of their questions, frankly, that we went over, most of them were fine. But if some of them were really quirky and kind of lacked an understanding of day-to-day operations in the city. But they're fine. Their guideline, from a standpoint, I would recommend that you look, somewhat carefully at them, just in case people ask you questions about how we do things. The majority of them, we answered yes, that we do them this way, so you'd be in a better position to answer the public if they ever ask you those questions.
Yeah, and it is difficult to develop a questionnaire that applies to all 565 municipalities. It's just, just not feasible.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
You have anything to say?
Excuse me?
Go back.
I'm watching the board over here.
We will now do department head reports. Why don't we start with Frank, but before he starts, we're very proud of Frank. Today at the Municipal League, Frank was awarded, how many years in a row is this, Frank, that you got an award?
It's the third year in a row,
All right, that's
but
good.
I have gotten 6.
Okay, but who's counting?
Right.
Frank received the Public Works Leader of the Year for the state of New Jersey at the convention this morning. And Frank, very proud of you personally and for the city. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Now you can lead off on the department head reports.
Sure. We are almost done putting up all the holiday lighting on the streetscape and out in the field. We're moving real good at the Lucy deck. We're starting the deck itself. All around the beach hut there is completed. I think it's coming out very, very nice. They did run across a lot of rotten wood, which they have replaced, and it's going to be bigger and better and stronger than it ever been before. We're also looking at some new lighting for there, like LED lighting, soft lighting, which there was lighting there before. And we're going to be running new electric for those lights, so everything will be pretty much brand new. And we started removing the steps down on the beaches for the Army Corps of Engineers or Wooders Marine, and they're actually up on Exeter Avenue right now, and they're moving along pretty good. That's all I have.
Thank you, Frank. Jimmy?
Congratulations.
There you go. You didn't hear it. Congratulations, Frank, on Public Works Leader of the Year. It's a good role model for your guys in that department. They work really hard. Our department is currently working at peak level. We have 4 demos this week. We had one contractor come in. The house wasn't even demoed, and he wanted to start setting the piling in the street so he can get the piling onto the property and start building a house. I mean, these guys are just, they're on fire. They can't get the houses down fast enough. I know the one on 15 South Pembroke, they tore it down like last week, and they already had the pilings marked out. Ponzio was over there, and I think they're now he's barking at us. Where's the plans? I want to go to work. They are at our office every day trying to get a permit. Well, they got to go through zoning first. You got to get the it's got to have a process. So I don't know where these guys are getting the incentive, but they're going nuts. The office, I think we did another couple processing procedure issues. We're improving the overall output of the office. I think the ladies really got a good system working there. I'm really proud of them for the way they've dovetailed Rogers zoning into applications and acquiring plans. And I think that you should stop in and take a peek someday and see how we do the processing now. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Jim. Roger?
May I have a question?
You may.
Jim, observation, it's been brought to my attention that, and I know this is not your direct responsibility because curb to curb is public safety, and only because David's not here today, if maybe you could reach out to the other enforcement people to help. But it's been brought to my attention that a lot of the builders, or some of the builders now, are leaving trailers again in the streets. It's my understanding that a trailer not attached to a vehicle shouldn't be left days at a time in the streets and being used as their working toolbox. And if you would just kind of coordinate a little bit with other enforcement people and help out with that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure thing, Rich. We usually try to get them off the street, tell them to put them on the property if they got room.
I know you have, and quite frankly, this year was the best year since I've been here with respect to other materials. It brought to my attention when you talked about the piling, they wanted to put piling on the street. I have not seen materials on the street like we used to see. Those materials are now kept 99% on private property the way they're supposed to be, not dump sand on the street and stone and all that. So, thank you.
Roger?
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, Jimmy, I guess I got 15 South Pembroke Avenue sitting on my desk, I guess. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, so I think it is.
I think there's about 10 other ones on there too, but I agree with Jimmy. It's a waterfall of projects coming on into the city of Margate right now. Congratulations, Frank.
Thank you.
Well deserved. Your guys are well motivated, and that's good for the city, good for our visitors. I also want to congratulate Johanna on being reappointed tonight as city clerk. I think that's fantastic. As you see in the packet tonight, there's a bunch of public contracts being renewed for approval. They all meet the bid thresholds and everything that's compliant with the public bidding and contract law. Even though my name's not on them, I did review most of them, if not all of them. This week was the League of Municipalities. There's a lot of good information at the league. Of course, with the QPA, I'm attending a lot of QPA courses, and there's a lot of updates for public contracts law, and there's issues with that statewide. As with anything else, they're trying to get through it. And the subject of the Iran requirements are in there. I guess which one with Iran? But other than that, everything's pretty good.
Thank you, Roger. Rich?
If I could, real quick.
Rich, 1 minute, say
Okay.
something.
Raj, on the contract that's on the agenda tonight, it's my understanding that we're getting permission to go to bid for several of those contracts.
Correct.
I would like to see the specs. I've talked to Frank before. I want to see the specs before they actually go out as
Yes.
they relate to janitorial. And I want to bring it to the attention of everybody here that we have talked, and I know that you're putting into the specs a much more complete requirement for janitorial work for 9001 building. Not just bathrooms and supplemental work, and I'm just kind of announcing here publicly that we're doing that for overall cleanliness of the building on a regular basis. So, again, I'd like to just be able to review those specs and share them with others in the building before they go out for final.
I think you have a copy of a version of the specs that you were supposed to comment on. As
If I do, I hadn't seen it, so I will
Okay.
look for it. Thank you.
Yeah, real quick, congratulations, Frank.
Thank you.
And in the same line as Rich was saying, I've noticed a lot of dumpsters now are landing on the street without wood under their wheels. I did bring it to the chief's attention, and apparently it's primarily Earth Tech that's doing it. So we need to make sure that we make them aware that they have to put some sort of dunnage under the wheels of the dumpsters. Fortunately, it's cool enough, it's not doing damage, but it could, so.
But it's part of the process, it's on the application. You have
Exactly.
to put a minimum of plywood down,
Great.
so they
So-
can follow the regimen of the application.
We need to do that. And then Eddie could not attend today. He's rescheduling some meetings, and this one could not get rescheduled until January, the one that he had to attend today. But I wanted to make everyone aware at yesterday's municipal engineers, the New Jersey Municipal Engineers meeting, he won 3 awards for, he won the Project of the Year for the Baltic Avenue drainage tunnel in Atlantic City, and for a project in Brigantine, and then one other. That the joke was at the end of the meeting that we're gonna have to institute a rule that that he can't apply anymore for projects, but I was hoping he was going to be here, but he works hard, he's a really good kid, and I think he will service the city well when I'm not here. But yeah, it's the first time in our firm that any one engineer had 3 projects that came in at the top of the list, and I'm real proud of him.
Thank you, Ed. Rich?
Said pretty much enough. We have two very small labor contracts that are up at the end of this year. All other contracts are in place well into next year and beyond. But we have one for the beach patrol and one for the dispatchers. And we'll be working on those, and have already begun with Commissioner Amadeo with respect to the beach patrol, and we'll be following up with the dispatchers. So you should have something prior to the end of the year for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Lisa?
I don't have anything to report. Thank you.
Chief?
Thank you. I'll echo everyone else and congratulate Frank on a job well done. And also Johanna, congratulations on the reappointment. Everything's good in the fire department at this point in time. I just want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, because we won't be meeting until well after that. With that said, just make sure our chefs who are out there cooking, there's not many people from the public, just make sure you're doing it safely, not overflowing the grease out of the turkey pan and causing any type of kitchen fire or anything of that nature. And that's pretty much it. Commissioner Blumberg, I received a text back from Rob Garish, our loss control safety consultant, and we will be getting together before next Wednesday and taking a look at that, and I will report back to you
Thank you.
once we get that information.
Thank you.
But that's it. Thank you.
Chief. Scott, I didn't forget you.
Just mention the ordinance number 25 this year, where hopefully that's going to be adopted, and we're moving forward with the overall bulkhead plan that we put a lot of time in through the past several years to replace the Amherst Avenue bulkhead. That's a big component to dealing with the flooding problems that we have down there. So I understand that the construction plans prepared by Ponzio's office have been forwarded to Lamberti's contractor, and he is working up his price list that may be relevant to the information that Jim Rattel is asking for regarding the regarding the grant for bulkhead work. So, as I understand it, he's gonna start before Christmas, he being Joe Stewart. There's some wood coming up. I hope so, but it's a real big project for us, and hopefully we'll get it.
Excited to-
That's on his property.
It's on his property, right, it's gonna be in front of the old bulkhead, gonna be on his property, total 588 feet. We've got 1,250 feet roughly to do along Amherst Ave. I think also, maybe Rich, you have some input on this, the bid specs, Art's gonna eventually have those ready, and we're gonna put those out for bid this year, or?
I think we're gonna put them, as soon as he has everything put together, then what we'll do is we will put all the front end boilerplate in that the city currently uses. And
So
then
you've got that all coordinated?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, so, some progress. That's it.
Anything else? Fred?
The sound system's working properly when you use the microphones.
Oh, did I use it?
No.
Was that aimed at me?
That was a
Yes,
target.
that was it.
That was a target.
Does anyone else hear a
Yeah.
pipeish buzzing?
Come on, Frank, you got all those
It's the
awards.
lights,
Why didn't you
because
get
the
a
fan's not
microphone
running.
award?
Oh, okay.
You thought, you have anything else, Scott?
I do not.
Fred?
You want me to say all that again? No, I could.
No, please not.
It's
Fred,
good.
you have anything?
No, I'm good, thank you,
Good.
Mayor.
Maury, anything?
I do. I have one thing. Frank is told me that he's planning on winning that award 10 more years consecutively to make it 16. So congratulations. We are lucky in this city to have Frank. Secondly, any idea or thoughts of Mr. Wahlberg not being here on a regular basis? For me, that's unacceptable. So any talk of you not being here needs to stop now. And that's all I have. Thank you.
John?
Mayor, yes, I think Ed will donate his time, as he always has, to the city of Margate. And that, there's a lot of truth to that. He has donated a lot of time through the course of his time here. trying to help us out. And Frank, it's, I can't touch on anything other than one fact that comes to my mind, that it was a great day for Margate to be recognized today due to your leadership and your work. And the one thing that comes to my mind is that you're just a pleasure to work with.
Thank you.
There is nothing that's asked that you do not take care of, and that's much appreciated from, I know, from Maureen, Mike, and myself. You make our jobs a lot easier. And you know, we're in the complaint business.
Yep.
And when we get to complain, it goes downhill.
I know that.
So we do thank you for that, and you are a true
Well.
pleasure to work with. Scott, I want to compliment you on all the diligent and hard work you did with ordinance 25 of 2018 and the memorandum agreement, which is to be signed, I hope, in the near future, unless you know more than we do.
No, I'm hoping to.
All right, but with everything that's come together, the culmination at this point, we're really heading in the right direction, and it was due to you covering all bases throughout this last 6 months. We've been working on it for 6 months.
It's been a while,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you saying all that.
And it's much appreciated. And I've read every, look, I have my cheat sheet right here.
I believe it. I knew you did.
It's right here. And that was a great document for you to give to.
You've had some input on that one too, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it was your hard work that covered every bit of it, so I really appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. After the mutual love affair, I can move on here. Just like to remind the public of two upcoming events. Saturday, the 24th at the ball field is the annual now Fill the Cruiser program. That's a great program. You should all make an attempt to attend. It's at the ball field, 6 to 9. Bring a gift to fill up. Maybe we can fill up 3 or 4 cruisers. Also, New Year's Eve, the Bay Atlantic Symphony will be here again. I think that concert starts at 7 o'clock. Tickets are free. When they become available, I would suggest that you get them as quick as possible, because the last concert tickets were going in like 2 hours. So it's good that we have these kind of events in Margate. It really is. I look forward to it. And with any further ado, we will open to public comment. 3 minutes on anything that was discussed here today. There being no public comment, is a motion to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes,
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
so moved.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned. We'll take a short 5-minute break, and then we will go to our regular commission meeting.